welcome. I hope to conduct things a little more smoothly. I have been reviewing all of the different rules in action, which are extensive. They include blood bonding. They include many different conditions. The lashing out with the beast for seduction. They the blood potency. Um, the blood sympathy, and a number of other. So you get the idea. All of these have little subroutines in them, and I will try not to go completely crazy. We have a quick review to do of where everybody is. And I can say only one thing for sure. We know that Solvay's body, which has a little bit of vitae left in it, is in that room, which is on your map, uh, referred to as the sleep lab. Even though it's not a sleep lab for us, but that's what it says on the map. And so he's lying there with tubes sticking in and out of him. By the way, I have learned from reading the book that when you take blood, the blood in a vampire called vitae is thicker and more, I don't know, it's differently colored than regular human blood. It's syrupy, and it smells, as the book says, like a dessert wine. So if you can imagine the stink of vitae filling that room from all of the different tubes sticking in and out of Nora and in and out of Solvay and in and out of Austin, right? Um, so that's what's in that room. And at the moment, the only character in that room is Ansa. And even Ansa is sticking her head out of that door into the hallway. And in fact, Austin is with her. In fact, the two of you are kind of like two cats, standing next to each other. So, over by the elevators and even over by the patients' rooms, the private rooms over to the left, that's where we have Ejdesh, and Hans, and the very confused person whose name is Banked. So you three are over there. Now, Odin, you're the one that I wasn't as sure about, because you told me that you had led this thing, the monster, away from everybody when you seduced it. But at the moment, it's probably lying on the floor with its head on your feet, begging for your touch. But as far as where you are exactly, I can place you on the map. I imagine that you had at least gone around a corner somewhere. So maybe closer to the top right of the map.
Yeah, because intention was to waste its time or
right.
Let the sprint go before it can.
Yeah. So that makes, I think, a lot of sense to me that you had kind of moved away from most of the other action, and that's the direction that I took you in my mind. So to review a couple of other things, we are actually out of combat now because nobody is, or rather the monster has been momentarily seduced anyway. And it is still using its possessed corpse power. So it is a fairly disgusting physical object. As I say, it did not use all of the mass of the body that it found, or the person that it killed. So then that leaves us at the moment to resolve something left over from last time. Ejder, in his bestial condition, wants to beat the crap out of this poor human who's standing there, probably in his underwear, wondering what is happening. And Hans has said that that is okay with him as long as the guy doesn't die. Nathan, do I have that correct? I don't want to.
I say that I'm not sure if it's a good idea, but I said that last time, so let's go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I mean,
just because
let's make my character useful. So yeah, let's do that.
I mean, just because you said it doesn't mean that you let it follow through.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be very violent against you if I see you go really too far, because the goal is really so we can still work after that.
Right.
And have a normal life.
Yeah. Okay. So fortunately, Ejdesh is not the most physically imposing vampire. So I'm going to say that, I mean, he's big, he's a big guy, but as far as actually doing mayhem and violence on anybody, he's not the most numerically terrifying vampire. So he's better at painting and things.
Yeah.
So then
I compensate with corpse paint.
Yeah.
But do I roll anything?
Well, that's what I wanted to ask. Because since Bengt is dominated, he's going to put up with at least the beginning of this process. And I don't want to make this more complicated than it has to be. So if you simply want, I mean, I'm going to make a fairly crude judgment call here, which is that if you can succeed in a let's see, where is it? Technically, we should use resolve only for resistance. It's a resistant thing. But
I'm resisting, like, going over the edge.
Yeah, well, the idea, I agree. If you can do resolve plus strength, I think, then you can bring him exactly to the level of injury to resolve your condition, and he will have taken bashing damage all the way through his whole. He will be filled up with bashing damage, but he won't be permanently disabled.
When I'm trying to look at this scene without, like, being disgusted of myself, I'm seeing it more like there's like violent drinking from him.
Ah, I see. So you actually want to feed on him.
No, but that's the way I see it.
Oh, I see.
It's not necessarily that but yeah, I'm not like just being violent.
Right.
It has to do something with, like, I'm an animal, but
I see. Got it. So we are not using the rules for feeding, but we are basically just putting some characterization into the violence. I see.
Can I try some persuasion to reduce or to help him to stay on the line?
Okay, yes. In that case, yes, I do think so, because this is just one of those helping rules. And in your case, I think it is composure.
Yeah, you will add dice to me.
Yeah, I think that if you can make a composure and presence roll.
Please do. I have 4 dice.
Yeah.
So it would be good with, like,
it will only be an extra die, but that is okay.
Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you're like coaching me, standing by my side.
That's even grosser.
Oh, easy.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, it serves Hans' purposes.
I know.
Yeah,
it's just very.
I have something else to say about this in a moment, Nathan. You may not like it, but go ahead and make this roll first. Presence. And
I'm going to lose humanity. That's fine. I mean,
yeah. Mm-hmm. How does that roll go?
For me, or?
Yes, I need a roll for presence
roll
plus composure. So if you can roll those. Yeah.
Presence? I apologize. Presence, where is that one?
On the right side.
It's one of the attributes at the top. not a skill.
I have seen. Oh, okay, sorry. De 4. Sorry.
Yeah.
No success.
Okay. In that case,
The
go ahead.
someone's talking to me.
Go ahead, Ola.
All right. One success.
One success. Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Well, you do succeed. Now I want each of you
No.
to make to roll your humanity 7 dice, please. I mean, it's really hard to fail this, guys. Don't worry about it. I mean, 7 dice.
I've never failed before.
Yeah, but
no,
you always
one,
fail when you
2,
should not.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
3 success and
Yeah, just one.
I
That's all we
rerolled
care
one.
about is any success. How about for
Yeah.
you, Nathan?
I have 1 success and 1 10, so I'm just going to reroll the 10.
You don't
And
really
it's a
have
2,
to.
so 2 successes.
Yeah. Okay. So therefore, both of you retain your humanity, despite the crudity of your behavior. And so now I'm going to say this is resolved. Nobody is fighting anybody. Ansa, when all of this settles down, now everybody can hear Ansa shout, "What is going on here? This is a scientific environment. This is." So, you have blood all over your fists, and, there's. So, okay. As far as what Bengt is going to do at the moment, having been bashed to that, to the end of his numbers, he is actually so dazed and almost unconscious that he's not going to be very functional. So, right. So that's that. And now, I think I'm going to ask you what you want to do. Oh, I looked at the calendar, and the sun will rise at just before half ocht. So in English, 7:29. So Shugi. Okay, so that is when the sun will rise, and that actually is quite late. It is November. That's great. And so you actually, surprisingly, after all of this, you still have almost 4 hours. So you've been pretty busy, but this last set of action didn't take very long. So you've had. It may have.
intense.
So I went through and thought about how long it would take to do all these things, and you actually have somewhere between 3.5 and 4 hours of darkness left. Some of you are actually able to withstand the sunlight well enough with your disciplines or your coils that you can still function even in the sunlight, and at least to some extent. But it is the sunrise. The sunrise is at that time, and if this is relevant to the experiments, solar noon is at 5 minutes before 12. So the solar noon for this spot is right at that time. That may or may not be, important in how you feel the experiment has been designed. But I thought it was kind of interesting to take into account. Right now, the precious vitae is full. I mean, if Osteen is a tube that has 10 vitae, he is at 9. And I want you to understand how strange this is. He has vitae in him from Solveig, from Nora, and from Ansa for the blood bond. So this is really strange. This is the oddest cocktail of vampiric vitae in this guy. And so the experiment has been changed dramatically. This stuff is supposed to get into those subjects. That is what is supposed to happen now. at least as far as Ansa's design is concerned. Nora has something to know. Your blood sympathy is now going crazy. You have blood sympathy with Solveig, and you have blood sympathy with Austin. So you can actually feel from where you are, even out of sight, you can feel their blood status. You know Solveig is in torpor and very low in vitae because you took it out of him. And you know that, but you can feel it as well as remember doing it. And you can also feel what I described in Austin, this strange brew of vitae. You can actually have, you are sensitive to it and to his status. He is, for a new vampire, he is full of energy. His blood potency is strange. It is not normal because of all these different potencies that have gone into it. So he's, even though he's recovering from the blood, from the blood bond right now. I mean, it's not unbonded, but he is recovering his senses, and the evangelical kind of charismatic, famous personality is beginning to become apparent. He is looking around, thinking about how to take charge of this situation. You can see it on his face. He's like starting to, he even like brushes his hair back, if you can believe it, and is starting to, to he's also very hungry. He's like, you can eat, like I said, oh wait, no, he's not, because you fed him. He's, now that he's got his hunger under control, now he's thinking, all right, who are these people and how am I going to run things around here with my girlfriend? So that's sort of the expression you've got on this handsome, evangelical, very Nordic-looking man's face. Okay.
So where are we in the process of
you are halfway.
The experiment?
You need to get that vitae out of Austin into the subjects, do scientific things on it, and you are supposed to be doing art over there with Solveig's body in the big room that's called the birthing room, which, if you think about it, is pretty well named on the map after all.
It is, but I don't see how we are halfway, because the blood from the sleep patients were supposed to go into Justine.
Yes, I know, but that got reversed from your... There's two reasons it got reversed. The first reason it got reversed is because I got so confused that I said it backwards when we played. That's the real reason it got reversed. But we are going to justify this by saying that when you and Ansa redesigned the experiment, you had to flip those.
So they are basically, they don't play any active role anymore. Those.
Well, that's a good question.
The only step, we are more than halfway then.
Well, I didn't say they were eliminated. I said those steps were reversed. So it's still supposed to go into them in some way. So
now the blood from Justine has to go into the subjects and then go into Solveig.